way. Similarly, theory of alienation was also pushed up by Karl Marx, where he spoke about that the workers lose the ability to determine their life and their destiny. Workers are not allowed by the capitalists deliberately to have the time to think, because if they will think, they will challenge the authority or the dominance of capitalist. So, what they do, they pay you so miserably, they pay you so less, they ask you to work day and night so that you should not think, you should not have the luxury of thinking in fact. So, right of alienation as a theory given by him, where he spoke about the workers lose their ability to determine their life and their destiny when deprived of the right to think of themselves. The of course, the capitalist, they controlled over their mind and their bodies altogether in fact. So, the bourgeoisie class, they try to deliberately engage the workers in such a manner they should not give the right to think, so that they can challenge the authority of the capitalist. Another very remarkable, you can say, observation made by Karl Marx. So, see, Karl Marx attacked the citadel of capitalism very strongly in fact. That is the reason why he is called as father of scientific socialism to that extent, because he established the fact that socialism would emerge because of the causes, and once it will emerge, it will have the effect also on the society. So, cause and effect philosophy was spoken in the favor of socialism, that is one thing, and secondly, how socialism can also be attained. It will be attained through the class struggle, where the have nots will have to raise their hand against the haves in fact. So, without having that, it is not possible to have any revolution. That is what actually Karl Marx had talked about. So, he was a revolutionary thinker in that way. All right. So, Karl Marx was a revolutionary thinker, there is no doubt about it, and that is the reason why precisely he gave a call for these have nots. Karl Marx made a very popular statement. Now, he gave a call to unite proletariats of the world. Now, this was something which was going to revolutionize the entire mode of production across the globe after this unification of proletariats could have been achieved. How? He made a statement. A statement was, the workers of the world have nothing to lose. Workers of the world have nothing to lose. They do not have their permanent territories or any national loyalties. So, workers do not have their permanent territories or their national loyalties, and they have nothing to lose except their chain. All right. So, what did he mention? What did he say? Karl Marx said, workers do not have their national territory or permanent territory or also the national loyalties. So, workers do not have the national loyalties as well as permanent territories. They have nothing to lose except their chains. Therefore, they must unite together and challenge the dominance of capitalism across the globe. Because according to Karl Marx, if proletariats join hand, bourgeoisie will not survive, because bourgeoisie enjoys their luxury and life only on the exploitation of the labor of proletariat only. So, this is what actually was his idea, which became revolutionary during those days, because he wanted to unite proletariats of the world. So, therefore, he mentioned a very popular statement that working men have no country, no national loyalties, they had nothing to lose but their chains. So, proletariats of all the world must unite, come together in fact. And on this basis only, he organized, Karl Marx organized the first international. First international, it is called as Working Men's Association, of the world. So, first international was organized, that was a platform for the workers of the world to come together. So, International Working Men Association was formed by him, which played a very instrumental role in the further promotion of socialism across the globe in fact. All right. And during the German Italian unification also, socialism of Marx also influenced Germany, France, Russia, etc. So, socialism got internationalized by this particular first international only in fact. Fine. Karl Marx is said to have died by 1883 or in 1883 only. He passed away in 1883, and once he passed away, just after his death, in fact, after 6 years of his death, in 1889, 100 years celebration of the French Revolution was celebrated. So, now you can see in 1889, after his demise, 100 years of celebration of the French Revolution was organized across the globe, also in Europe, and in 100 years of celebration, the Second International was actually convened. So, in 1889, Second International was convened. Second International was convened, which led to the bifurcation in Karl Marx had died. Karl Marx had passed away, so obviously there were other thinkers of socialism also, or similar like Karl Marx also, who supported the idea that Karl Marx rightly said that without revolution you cannot achieve your rights. Revolution simply means you have to protest, you have to adopt even the violent methods to achieve your goal of establishing the right of establishing the rule of the proletariat in fact. So, proletariat must also control the political system to actually enjoy or to actually ensure the equity and justice among society in fact. So, Karl Marx had also mentioned about that political system should be also controlled by the proletariat, then only they will be having their recognition in their system altogether. Otherwise, the politics is also being controlled by the bourgeoisie class, the capitalist class. So, till that this class will control them, they will always be sidelined in the system. So, indirectly he also put up a sort of a, you can say, promotion to the workers, to the proletariats to revolt against the system, gain the power, acquire the power, and then bring the change. Change in the context of equal distribution of wealth among the people out there in fact. This particular philosophy was called as left philosophy in fact. So, left philosophy of socialism is called as communism in fact. So, communism emerged out of the left philosophy of socialism in fact. So, inside socialism also there were moderate, there were extreme. So, the extreme believer of socialism are called as communist. Who are called as communist, they are supporters of Karl Marx, and they are also supporters of the violent revolutions to grab the power. So, the communists are those who are supporters of Karl Marx, all right, and at the same time they are also supporters of the violent methods to grab the power. Fine, that is what actually is the philosophy of communist in fact. At the same time, the communist also believes in the peasant led revolution in the areas. So, peasant based movement, peasant based farmers based movement should be there. Farmers must control the political system also in that particular locality. So, if the farmers controls the political system, they will be able to execute the policies which are going to bring welfare for the farmers only, because they are real creators of wealth in the society. So, the real creators of wealth in society is basically the farmers. So, therefore, the communist believers, who are the left wing of socialism in fact, now they believe in these two particular ideologies. One is that of course, they are, or any change can happen only through violent means. Second, the farmers must control the political system altogether. So, that is how the communist wing emerged, whereas the right wing were called a revisionist. So, right wing who are called as revisionist or reformists, revisionist or reformist, they are called as socialist only. So, they were believer in, they were moderates, believer in the petition, prayers and the democratic means to bring change in the system. So, socialists were or are the liberal democratic nationalist. Now, they believe in reform through democratic means in the system. That is what actually the socialist believers are there. But they also believe the same philosophy that wealth must be distributed among the masses at large. So, they believe, but in a democratic ways to achieve it. Not the violent methods in fact, and the violent methods believers are the left wing of socialists. So, what is the difference between socialism and communism? Now, it is clear, it must be now clear to all of you. Fine. Now, say this is what actually Karl Marx had pushed up this idea, and finally, in the Second International, when Karl Marx had passed away, inside socialist ideologues itself, there were two bifurcations, or rather there were bifurcation in two wings in fact altogether, right wing and left wing. So, left wing is today known as communist, fine, and the right wing of socialism is today known as socialist only in fact. That is how the communism got created. But the success of Karl Marx was seen only, the success of Marxist theory or Marxism in fact. Marxism succeeded only in 1917 for the first time in the Russian Revolution. Because in the Russian Revolution for the first time the workers association called Bolsheviks, now they control the political system of Russia. So, they became successful for the first time here, all right, but even they were also the believer in the violent means of achieving their success. Then the second success was in 1949, especially in the context of the Chinese Revolution. The Chinese Revolution that was led by Mao Zedong, it was the Marxist revolution. He was a Marxist from the core of his heart, and he led a communist movement in China, where the workers were there, but the peasants dominated this movement altogether, because support of peasants was there with Mao Zedong, which brought a radical change in China in the form of Chinese Revolution in fact. So, Chinese Revolution is another success of what Marx taught long back. Fine, and afterwards we have other countries like even Cuba. Cuba also is another success in 1950s, which also went for the communist movement or communist revolution. All right, not only that, but also success was seen in the case of the Eastern European countries, in the case of some of the Latin American countries. That is how communism became a dominant ideology also in various parts of the world in fact afterwards. That is the socialism and communism difference altogether. Fine. That is how socialism also has emerged, and even the communism had also emerged across the world, in fact. Fine. That is all about the idea of socialism and communism for all of you. Now, this segment is over. I am starting with a new chapter altogether after this. And now we are going to see the episode of World War II. Now, see, again now would like to bring into notice the episode of the World War First. See, the World War First we have already completed that idea, in fact. World War First had come to an end with the idea of Woodrow Wilson, where he tried to provide the 14 points, and according to 14 points, he wanted to re-establish the peace and order in entire world. While doing that, he also put up a concept of the international organization named League of Nations. League of Nations. League of Nations was an outcome of the Woodrow Wilson, who was the President of America or the USA. He was the President of the USA, and his ideas were basically communicated in the 14 points only, the 14 points of peace and order only. And in the 14 points of peace and order, one of the provisions, one of the points, in fact, was also to create League of Nations. That was finally created in 1920